Okay, so it's about 2:35 Alaska time. So today, I'd like to welcome for those coming in online and listening in afterwards to hear more about Center ICE and the opportunities that we have and this specific request for proposals that we've got open with a closing date of October the 17th. So Center ICE itself is based out of the University of Alaska Fairbanks, and we're here as a support network, a mentoring network, and we have funding opportunities and we have training programs. Center ICE itself and its office space is based on the Trothieta campus of the University of Alaska Fairbanks, and this is on the ancestral lands of the Danana people of the lower Tanana River. And you can see here a shot from the previous fall of the university campus. The team that you're hearing from today, myself and Evelyn, who's part of the group, is one of the two of us are a member of this Center ICE team. You see here members of the team from technology transfer specialists to the administrative team to associate vice chancellors for innovation and industry partners, Alaska Blue Economy Center, faculty ambassadors at both UAF and University of Alaska Southeast. So a range, and even Alaska Fellow as well. So a full range of different individuals working on different parts of the center's programming. And the request for proposals and the accompanying ICOR program that goes with it is part of what we call the Innovation Accelerator. And Center ICE has been around for about 4 or 5 years and has had different programmings that it's had available for university researchers and collaborators outside the university. But we've never really, until the last 6 months or so, maybe 9 months, put it all together into a package where individuals or organizations can see where they fit into the entrepreneurial journey that they're going through, and whether they're in the early ideation phase, they've got a new project idea that they'd like funding on to move towards a product that stakeholders can use, or if they're further along, ready to start up a business from the technology they've developed or the projects that they've been funded, and they're looking for connecting support, training on how to go for Small Business Innovation Research Awards, or just connections into the wider entrepreneurial ecosystem we have here in Alaska, and also the ecosystem that we have and connections we have in the Pacific Northwest. So seed funding is what we call part 2 of the 9 steps that we have within the innovation ecosystem and this innovation accelerator. And then the ICOR, or the customer discovery, stakeholder discovery training, is actually part 3. So we're definitely talking about those early stage ideas, those new projects you might want to work on, or something that's come out of your academic research where you're looking for a nudge or some seed to move that idea and get that idea to grow. And then the stakeholder or customer discovery is going to be part of that journey, where you're actually going to be even doing it ahead of the research, the research and development, where you've got that seed idea and you want to learn and hear from and find out what are the end users who might be interested in this once you've gone through your research and development. So you can build out a project and build out an outcome that actually then has a real world, a broader impact, which is a significant part of research opportunities going forwards, whether it be the National Science Foundation, National Institute of Health, NASA, and others, is what's the impact beyond the research that you're performing. And then I mentioned briefly the if you transition this further forwards and you move towards the potential to form a business or to spin it out of the university environment, then we also have small business innovation research and small business technology transfer training programs. And if anybody's interested in those beyond this request for proposals, then Evelyn here or Ashley that's listening in will be able to provide more details. So what I wanted to, before I jump into more about the request for proposals that you've received in the email or seen on social media, I wanted to highlight some example projects that have been funded from previous seed fund calls for opportunities, and also go through example teams that have gone through ICOR and the ICOR training program. So therefore you can see whether the idea you have, the group of you that are looking at the seed funding actually think, oh, we're a good fit. This would be something that we'd want to apply for, and can move our technology and move our products, move our research further forwards. So this snapshot here I show is 3 example projects. One that was focused on a PhD thesis, a graduate work. We had an engineering researcher that was developing out a new computer-based algorithm to help on energy loads for communities and for individual homeowners. So therefore, they were able to actually build out the technology, do some some testing, and build and compare and train their algorithm during that seed funding project to then move. The next step is for them to expand this and build this out into more community-based projects. The one in the middle is an academic researcher from the Geophysical Institute working with a business on a wireless infrared sensor for spectroscopy research, where the industry approached the university, had collaborations, and was looking for a new additional developments of their technology. So collaborated with the institute and was able to build out this technology project. So there's an example of where an industry partner was looking at the academic environment. And then on the far right hand side, we have an example here of a community project that was citizen science for understanding the green up environment. Here we have in the interior of Alaska, building out, and this current is an ongoing project, building out a data visualization of the green up indices across the region and how that can then be used by community members and even by private industry, private organizations to understand, and non-profit on what is the green up date and the time, so they can start planning out their spring and then summer activities. So 3 examples of graduate research, and we've funded undergraduate research as well. One's where the industry is working with the academic partner, and one where a community project has been integrated into a seed funding to build out some new capabilities for the community. And then another aspect of it that we've supported through seed funds is design thinking with the Teaching Through Technologies team, where undergraduate teams are working on smaller, faster paced over maybe a few weeks to a month projects where they're able to pitch their idea, get access to some funds, and then expand upon that. So the seed funding as an opportunity has fitted everything from these small scale projects to these large scale projects. And the request for proposal is going to be focused around, it is focused around 3 topic areas, which I'll highlight later on in the next 20 minutes or so. I mentioned that as part of this request for proposals, we have the I-Core, or the Innovation Core training program that the University of Alaska Fairbanks manages. So this is actually funded by the National Science Foundation, and we'll be running all successful projects through the I-Core training program, where you learn about how to develop your value proposition of what is your idea, what are you looking to build, and then you're going out and talking to stakeholders, you're talking to potential end users, such that you can then start to develop what is then going to be your research project that you work on and are funded as part of the seed. So you'll propose what your project is going to be, and then the actual I-Core training will help you develop and understand and maybe do some ideation on your original project design to then actually work on that during the length of the project from January to May of next year. So you'll have your original proposal, there'll be some tweaks that go on as you do your customer discovery, and then you'll actually then be able to transition that into the project itself. Here's some examples of teams, both internal and external to the university environment, that we've supported, everything from undergraduate research to individual research projects to external entities, both based here in the Fairbanks and the interior, but also in South Central Alaska. So the I-Core program is additional funds that you can receive in addition to your research proposal. As a result, you can actually build upon and increase the availability of the support that you can receive. So what I'd like to go into now is to talk more about the request for proposals. So what I wanted to show in the last 10 or 15 minutes or so was to say that this fits into a wider pool of opportunities and programs we have here at UAF. But this one has a specific deadline, has some specific themes that we're focused on. So if there's another opportunity that you're thinking about and maybe doesn't fit exactly in these themes, then we're always open to having a chat, having a discussion, and just learning more about what you'd like to do. So this proposal is focusing on transitioning solutions and stakeholder discovery. So you're building out a research project that then is going to have a broader impact beyond the academic environment, and can be then adapted into a community solution, or can be connected to a private industry or somebody external to the university environment. So this aspect of seed funding is to be able to build upon what you may have done or to start something new. And we're open to both ideas. But the additional aspect that we haven't done in previous requests for proposals is to include the stakeholder discovery or the customer discovery. And this will be preceding your actual research and development. So you'll be proposing on what you would like to do. We'll evaluate and review those on how they fit the three themes and what the seed fund is there to do. But you'll also have the ability through that customer discovery and stakeholder discovery to do some edits and to do some changes as you're learning more about what you're proposing and how it actually potentially fits the needs of those end users. And then you come back, tweak your value proposition, what your initial hypothesis that you're going to build upon, and then you go and perform the work, knowing that those stakeholders are going to be ready to listen and see what you've developed it after the end of your project time. So this time round, we're focusing on three themes. We have collaborators at the Alaska Center for Energy and Power and the Alaska Blue Economy Center that are part of this call, and Centerice is sort of managing the process of reviewing and working with the teams. But we've got these three themes: climate resiliency, the state, and well, the planet, but the state of Alaska specifically, and the region is at the forefront of climate change, and therefore we're looking at projects that focus on how we as a region and how we as a community and a state can be more resilient to those changes going forwards, and actually be able to adapt and provide for the future of the population and the region. Another one that we're working with is focused on energy transitions and energy research and building up the capabilities for local communities to be able to adapt to the changing environment and the changing climate. And then the third one is, again, focused around the blue economy. So this could be a community or an industry need where you're working on a research project that provides a solution to those needs, or is producing an outcome that can then be implemented into an industry, into a business, or even into a community. So they can then expand and grow their work in that blue environment, whether it be mariculture or whether it be energy tools. So a fairly broad themes that are there, but three specific areas which we'll be evaluating the projects on. As was highlighted in the information online, but I wanted to remind everybody, teams can apply up for $15,000. We're anticipating 3 to 4 projects, mainly because of the groups that we're working with. And I mentioned that awarded teams, the teams that get through the 2 phases, will then be going through our I-Corps training program, which includes an additional $4,500 per team, of which three of the team members can receive a stipend, and then there is travel support. You can have more team members on your team in terms of the proposal, but only 3 of those would receive stipend for the I-Corps training program. And then we highlight in the proposal that we have the timeline from January 3rd through to the end of the university spring semester. But we do have some ability to extend beyond that timeline, depending on the needs of your team. And obviously that you can negotiate with us as you're working on your project. Proposals are due by 8 a.m. Alaska time on Monday, the 17th of October. And we're looking for a 3-page proposal submitted either to the Centerice email address and then including myself and Evelyn as CCing, so we'll be able to receive those and know when they were submitted. Particular file format for those submissions, you can find out more about those on the CentreICE website for the seed funding, but the file name itself will be specific to allow us to determine who is submitting and the theme, so we can pull all of the applications together for each specific theme. We've got these two phases. There is the review phase of the proposals, but then also we're actually going to have the leads for the projects present on what they're looking to do in their project to the CentreICE team in that week of 17th to the 21st. So this allows us to learn more about what you're doing, ask some questions, see how you're going to be benefiting from the customer discovery, stakeholder discovery, and what you're looking to do. So this allows us to read your 3-page proposal, but also hear from you as a lead researcher going forwards. So it's just an additional way for us to understand the project development, who you're working with, and what you're looking to develop. So by the end of that week, by the 21st of October, all teams will be informed of whether they have been successful or not. And that then gives us to work with those that have been successful in getting through the review process, 10 days or so to deal with all of the paperwork, to set up the teams to go into the ICOR programming, and then to transition into the project starting in January of 2023. And then I want to highlight this sort of ICOR part of it. In the proposal and documentation, we've in the RFP, we've said about the timeline of the project and what you'll be wanting to do during that timeline. But I also want to highlight the benefit that this ICOR program provides to you and your team. It's the first step in moving towards additional federal funding that is out there. That there is multiple different agencies that have support to transition academic research out into business development, into stakeholder projects, and to transition the technology and the research out of the university environment. You'll be involved in some weekly gatherings of the different teams that are going through the ICOR training program. We have another pool of teams that you'll be joining for that. So you'll be interacting with another 12 or 13 different teams that are solely going through the ICOR program. But you'll have these tag ups of an hour to an hour and a half. And what you'll be doing is carrying out interviews, discovery interviews with end users, understanding your original value proposition of your research, and tweaking and adapting that based on what you're hearing, listening to them, understanding how to listen to end users' needs. And then at the end of it, you'll transition into, now we've got some feedback on what we're looking to develop. We've heard the pains of those individuals. We've seen the need, and then you can adapt your project and build out a solution that has an end user pool and a group of stakeholders ready for when you want to actually use it. So what I wanted to now really focus in on is the timeline. So Monday, October 17th, your proposals will need to be in by 8 AM. And that's what we call phase 1. You'll get your proposal in, and we as CentreICE will collate all of those together in the different themes. Then you'll hear from us by Wednesday the 19th, if you're moving to phase 2, to allow you to then have the presentations, and these will be short, sort of 30 minutes, 45 minutes, where you'll just get the ability to talk more about your project, and we'll get to ask a few more questions. So by Friday, we'll let everybody know whether they're successful or not. And the awarded teams will then move forwards to the next step of filling out all the paperwork to get them a project inside the center and to be ready for the ICOR training program, which starts on November 1st. As I showed earlier, this is 6 weeks where there'll be weekly interactions of about an hour with all the other teams. So we're looking at December the 16th as being the end of when you would have finished your ICOR program. So that's just after the end of the university academic semester. And then January 3rd is the start date that we are allowing teams to start on for their research, knowing that not everybody will start the first day back after the holiday break, but that's the proposed start date for your work. So if you are wanting to jump straight into the research, you will have the ability to start working on the project. We additionally have some benefits that come by being part of this program. So we have a technology transfer team within CenterIce, and they will be able to work with you one-to-one on the opportunities that could come to commercialize or move this research out of the academic environment. They'll learn more about your project. We'll be able to start thinking about what else is out there on available, and we'll be able to look for potential partners and put them in touch with you. And then we'll do that again in the spring, once you're further into your research, to be able to help you understand who might be interested in using this research that you've developed. We also have, as part of this, a half-day workshop focused around small business innovation research. And that'll be part of the spring work, where we'll be bringing in individuals that have successfully been awarded small business innovation research, and also talk more about what is possible to go into the national program from the I-Corps training. And then also there'll be, during spring 23, a pitch day where you'll be presenting to a wider community on the work you've done, where you've got to, and the benefits that the seed fund has provided to you, and what you learned from your customer discovery. And that's at the moment being planned for the United Nations Day of Innovation, which is approximately the 3rd week of April. But the last thing I wanted to highlight before there's any potential questions is to remind you all of sort of where these different aspects of the innovation system fit. So a lot of people, when they're developing out a project or working on a project, will jump straight into the prototype. So this is this 4th circle here, where you're going, I've got this project, I've got this idea, I'm going to go and build something, and then we'll see potentially who might be interested in it. But often that's actually further along than you really should start. What you should start to think about is maybe at this ideation phase, where you've got your idea, and then step back to 2 steps and go and listen to potential stakeholders to say, what are their potential problems? I'm looking to build some new widget, or some new engineering tool, or I've got this new software that I want to develop, or I've got this new sort of sensor that I want to build, or I've got this new database I want to collate. But what problems are people having trying to access what you're trying to build? Is it because nothing exists, or it's because there's just the existing systems aren't as user-friendly? So you can listen to, oh, what are the problems? Why are you having those problems? Why isn't it working? And by getting that, empathizing with them and hearing what their pains are and what their needs are to build, to have something that they'll go to all the time, you can then start to define out what are the needs, what makes your original idea potentially even greater than it was. And then move forwards. You can continue to think outside the box, take those feedback and start to ideate again. You can go back to and listen to the stakeholders. You continually going through these loops, and each time you're moving further and further along this journey from this listening to the needs of the user, stakeholder, whatever you want to call them, to an output. And eventually you get test your product, test your project. And the I-Corps definitely fits in the left-hand side of this continuum, and the seed fund is on the right. And by coupling the 2 together, we're giving you the ability to be part of the full journey, all the way through from the empathizing for the person that might be using your project, all the way through to the research and development, the testing, the ideation, the continually adapting as you're going through it. So at the end of it, you have an outcome that is ready to move forwards, that aligns with the end user's needs. So on that note, there are any chance for questions. We do have the ability to bring up anybody that's listening in, or if anybody is interested in posting in the question and answers. But it really today is just an opportunity for you to hear more from us about the projects this request for proposals that we have available. And to learn more about CenterIce, for anybody listening today or afterwards online, to reach out to us at CenterIce. This request for proposals has these 3 themes, but we are here as a support network connection. We can help connect you to others within the ecosystem here in the state, whether it be other external accelerator programs, training programs, collaborators, community members, and we also have connections into the Pacific Northwest and different academic institutions and other organizations across into the mountain states as well. So really, if anybody has a question, then please type it into the Q&A or into the chat. Otherwise, Evelyn, do you have anything that you think you might want to ask me about this request for proposals or I-Corps as in general?
I think it was really clear, and I'm just curious if maybe the attendees might want to just share with us really quickly, like what the ideas are or potential problems they're solving. Also, maybe a question that could be helpful for people to understand is, if I do not fit under one of these topics or categories, is there any other funding opportunities for me? Is that an option? Can I still apply?
Good question. Yes. So thanks for that. So we're always open to hear from others. Right now, we do have this specific these three specific themes with this closing date. But if you do have another project idea, reach out, because we're interested in hearing from other innovative researchers, even if your project may not align with the themes. Those can be reviewed at any time, and we have some slightly different criteria, and you can find more information about those on the centralized webpage online. And here's the webpage, and we have some slightly different criteria to review those, and a slightly different process for those proposals. So there are opportunities to connect into other funding opportunities we have. If the timing is not right, and you're thinking, well, this is great, but it's not the right time in my journey, then the I-Corps programming that we're highlighting starting November 1st, we will be running a spring cohort. And if you sign up to the centralized newsletter, which you can from our website, then you'll hear when those opportunities are available. We have some other training programs that are coming into the center, and you'll be hearing more about those in the next month or two. And then there is also Alaska Startup Week, Techstars Startup Week Alaska, that's coming November 14th to the 18th. And you can get involved there. So this is an opportunity to focus in on the research around those three themes, but we are always willing and open to hear from others. And if you go to the centralized webpage, you can also sign up and get a 30-minute chat with one of us. We've now got the capability for you to sign up to a Calendly link and get a Zoom 30 minutes with us, just to talk in more about your idea. And we've got some 2-hour slots where you can sign up and get 30 minutes with one of us. So there's many opportunities to connect. Really, we're just here to listen. Our stakeholder discovery is sort of listening to what the innovators out there in the academic environment are looking to develop and work on, and then seeing how they fit and where they fit. You see here on this last slide the nine steps as part of this, and you may fit in steps 1 and 2, but you may actually be fitting more in steps 8 and 9, where you want to use the network that we have here as to help you grow your connections and your partners. So a question here from Ashley listening in. Why should I conduct my research through this RFP instead of a more traditional request for proposal? Well, very good question. A lot of people think, well, why not go to the traditional granting opportunities that exist outside the university environment? Well, funding agencies that now are growing their interest in the broader impact of your academic research. Even the National Science Foundation formed a new directorate, first one, I think in 40 years, called Technology Innovation Partnerships. And they are significantly focusing efforts in the broader impact from academic research. This is also the first step into a much, much wider funding opportunity that exists in multiple different federal agencies. By joining and being a member of the I-Corps site we have, you have the ability to then tap into other opportunities in NSF that you wouldn't normally have available to. you would join and hear from other programs that you might be connected to, if you know of others outside the region that want to connect to us. So there are the traditional basic and applied research opportunities you can get from the federal government, from the state government, and those can help develop your research. But at the end of those projects, what do you do with it next? How can it be applicable and usable beyond the timeline of your 3 or 5 year grant? And that's where things like this seed fund or the ICOR can actually support you to perform that research, to make something that goes beyond the research that you've performed in it. And it gives you some new skills and even some new connections to have a greater chance of success at the next funding opportunity that you might be looking for. We've seen teams that have gone through our training programs and even equivalent programs nationally, that they double, even triple their success rate at follow-on granting opportunities. Evelyn, you have your hand raised for a question or a comment.
Yeah, I want to just really encourage everyone that is right now in the webinar or when you're watching this via YouTube. This is a very interesting opportunity. The people that will be reviewing these proposals are here. And our mindset is always to really support entrepreneurs and make it when they are. So if you are sort of in the fence, if you are a right candidate or not, like reach out and definitely consider applying. I mean, if this is not a good fit right now, we will be able to support you until you are in the right place for a seed fund award similar to this one. So there's not, I'll say, like a negative outcome, or there's not such thing as you're not going to get awarded. You will have a very good chance you will, and as well, you will most likely get a lot out of it in this process. So just want to make sure people understand that this is a very unique opportunity. We're here to help and support people. In our minds, we want to give everyone an award, and we will get them there. If it's not through this RFP, then maybe we'll be in another one, or supporting them through the process until they're ready for that type of investment. But apply.
And I think it's one highlight from that we can provide is feedback on where you are at and connections into other opportunities in the state. Whether it's a fit to this opportunity, there are other programs that are also supporting entrepreneurial activities, whether it be training, whether it be funding, and often it is getting that introduction, getting that connection point, getting that first introduction to the next place on your entrepreneurial journey. And we've been fortunate through this seed fund to be supported by the Office of Naval Research and to be supported by the National Science Foundation for our innovation training program. We have other grant support through the Small Business Association administration. We have other grants that allow us to provide services, support, training, funding to help others like those listening in and those following and listening afterwards on your journey. It's really, how can we help you move forwards? And who knows where it will be that we can help, but that's what we're here to do. And so we'd love to hear from you. Please do sign up to a Calendly 30-minute chat. Send us an email if you prefer that process, and we'll find some time. If you're on the University of Trotsky campus, come on up to the 4th floor of the engineering building. There'll be one of us there, and be happy to chat with you more. And if it's not that individual, find somebody from the team that can help. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing your proposals. 17th of October at 8 a.m. Alaska time is the deadline, and then we'll be going through those applications and moving some of them through to the meeting and interview and presentation phase, so we can then support a good group of research projects and build something that can benefit beyond the academic environment and into an impact that can support us to be more resilient as a region and as a community around climate, energy, and the blue economy. So on that note, I'd like to thank everybody for listening in today, for those that have brought up questions and comments, and then anybody that's listening in afterwards, then please do just send us an email through the email you see on this last slide. So thank you everybody for your time today. I appreciate you all calling in and listening in, and do not hesitate to reach out.